This is a video regarding the conflict generated by Russia and how I believe it will impact your organization. So we'll first go through briefly what's going on, more specifically on the IT side, and where I think this could go. And most importantly, we'll go through what I believe you should do in the security side for your organization to secure yourself regarding what is or could be going on, because sit there and do nothing has proven to rarely be a really good strategy, especially in IT. Hi, I'm Jean-Pier Talbot, SC for SonicWall in Canada, helping customer and reseller get the most out of their network security solutions. If you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on upcoming videos. And always have a look in the comment below, because there's always some interesting stuff that some viewers may add that I will pin because I like what they said and it has some great value, or maybe some mead that will add more comment. So on that, let's look into what you should do in those unfunny days. As of today, March 1st, 2021, I'm not going to go through everything that's happening. I'm sure you've been watching the news, but Russia, well, Putin felt like Ukraine should be part of Russia, and the best plan he had to achieve his goal was to throw a bomb at civilians. The interesting response we see is what the international countries like Canada, Australia, and many other countries have been doing is to apply economic sanction to Russia. Within a couple of days, we actually saw the effect it has. The value of Russian money go down the drain 30 points, and the interest rate have more than doubled for Russian civilians. So that's to see that disturbing economics have a really huge impact. We've also seen hackers internationally attacking Russia, different Russian websites, and also I've seen in the news that a aluminium plant have been taken down in Russia by different hackers again. So that all falls into disruptive economics, right? Different countries have economic sanction against Russia, and hackers are also attacking different stuff in Russia, which all have a great impact on economics of that country. And no later than yesterday, in my little neck of the wood province of Quebec, Canada, the east side of Canada, a aluminium plant have been taken down. Experts are believing that it is a Russian attack. So could that be just a disruptive economic fight back from Russia? Maybe. Or could it be simply a planned attack from Russia to take down a aluminium plant in Canada? Because if you look at worldwide producer of aluminium, China is first, second I believe is India, third one is Russia, fourth one is Canada. So, and I'm sure you know that this amazing metal is probably heavily used into military grade stuff, right? Could it be either jet, boats, missile, whatever it may be. So could it be a planned attack? Because that aluminium plant, they export a lot of aluminium to Europe and the US. So, could be both disruptive economics or a planned attack as a strategy, right? Who knows? Even this morning, I wake up like I do every morning, go get a coffee, turn on the news. In a manufacturing shop of Bridgestone in, again, province of Quebec, Canada, have been taken down, and they are completely shut down. Production has stopped completely. Some again believe it could be Russia, and some just say, well, it is just a standard ransomware attack that happens for almost a decade nowadays. Who knows? But again, that is some sort of disruptive economics that is going on right now. So where is this going to lead us? I think we'll all agree it does not smell good. I truly hope, like the vast majority of the world, that Putin was going to wake up one morning and say, you know what I'm doing is bad. I'm going to call off our guys, we're going to back off and apologize to the world and send our troops to fix everything we've broke in Ukraine, right? We all hope for this. Personally, I doubt it's going to happen. And some are fearing that World War III is about to start. I believe that if there is, or when there will be a World War III, I believe that it is going to be cyber. And disruptive economic is an amazingly powerful tool. Let's just go back to that aluminium plant in the beautiful little city of Sept-Îles. And if you look online, they have a population of 28,000 people roughly. And that aluminium plant had about 850 employees. So if you do the math, that's roughly 3% of the population of that city that may not have a job anymore, that may have no income coming in. So if you think about it, what is the effect to this? Well, you have 850 families where maybe they will be default on car payment, on credit card payment, on house payment. So think about it, the stress it adds to bank. If those people all get default and go bankrupt and don't pay their houses anymore, cars and credit card debt and whatever it is, it's tens of millions of dollars for a small city of less than 30,000 people. And what are those people gonna do, right? 850 people, well, I'm sure they have families and kids, so that's like what, 2,000 people, 2,500 people. Those families are not gonna get sushi Saturday night, right? And Sunday morning, they're not gonna eat popcorn at a theater with their kids, right? They lost their job, so they're not gonna spend money on things they don't need, like sushi and popcorn and theater. So what happened to those local companies? Well, their numbers go down by 10% easily. And what happened to 10% of the employees at that sushi restaurant? They may get let go, right? So that's more people that may get default in mortgage, in car, and debt, and that will not go to the theater as well, right? So you see that snowball effect, and that was just one side, right? The employees and what they do for the local economy. There's the other side as well. If they don't manufacture aluminum anymore, well, the shop building boat for fishermen that was right next door, they're not going to receive aluminum. They won't be able to build boats. So those employees will not get paid anymore because, well, there's no money coming into that boat making factory. And if those boats were designed and shipped to companies or to fishermen, well, those fishermen don't have boats anymore, right? So you see the snowball effect going the other way as well. So that, again, disruptive economic can be amazingly powerful and can be huge. And we've imagined doing this at a large scale, right? That was just one shop that I use an example, and you see the effect it has on the local economy. Bring 10 business, 15, 20 business down in that small cities. You'll see it will be just catastrophic. It is an amazing and huge weapon. So I strongly believe you should consider tightening the security in your organization. You don't have to be a company that could closely or not closely somewhat dealing with military stuff, right? You could be a spoon making factory or a perfume making factory. It is not relevant. Disruptive economic attacks everything. So I personally fear that it could lead there. So I strongly suggest the goal of that video is for me to build you a list of things I think you should do and do it now. So the first one is one you should have done years ago and that very few people have done, and it is to turn on two-factor authentication on everything. Corporate email, corporate bank account, personal bank account. Just open your web browser, go into save password, like your Amazon account, your eBay account, Netflix account, everything. Turn on 2FA if it is available. It is a really good tool to secure yourself for anything that you need to authenticate, especially for your organization. The second one I believe you should consider is email security, because email has always been a number one threat of attack because there's a human behind, and a human is usually a weak point in terms of security. We'll touch on training employees. I believe it's the next one. No, not the next one, but soon in my list. So back on email. If you guys are like many in G Suite or Office 365 for emails, well, many have the sense of, oh, it's in the cloud, they take care of everything. No, they don't take care of security. They take care of very little, but you do have a lot of responsibility for security. Basic one like weak password, not Microsoft problem if you put password as a password. It is your call. And if someone steal your account and do whatever they want, that's your problem, not theirs. So, and also, many are using MX record based type of technology. And I will show you here. It is dead easy to find out what a company has been using. Just go on Google and type in MX record tool, and you'll end up with plenty of websites. I'll pick one here, and here I will do a MX lookup for a small city in my area. You know, it's a city, so they deal with important stuff like providing civilian tap water or picking up garbages, or when you flush a toilet, it goes somewhere and it's taken care of, right? Cities are important. They deal with very important stuff, much more than a spoon making factory, right? I can eat with my fingers, worst case. So a city. So I look up at the MX record, and I'm gonna hide stuff. My goal is not to bash on people and point fingers. So that city, we see the MX record, those are public information. It leads to smtp.something.com. And if you go on that website, because you can expect that it's going to answer web, so people can look at their email remotely or manage their quarantine or what's not. So, of course, it answers on the web. And see, there's a small logo at the top. It's a Fortinet logo. So we have information. This city, so far we know, probably use FortiMail for their email security. Then right click anywhere in that page and click on show source code. We don't see much here. There is like 1 page worth of code, but at the bottom we have 2 JavaScript. So click one, and we have pages and pages and pages of JavaScript code. Just do a easy Control F and type in version. Then we see version 5.3.100 that shows pretty much everywhere. So see how dead easy it was to know? This city used FortiMail version 5.3.100. Then next step, go on Google and type in CVE FortiMail 5.3.1. And I did that on purpose here. There are none, right? Goal is not to bash on Fortinet, not to bash on anyone, just to show you how easy it is to find information. But if FortiMail version 5.3.100 adds some vulnerability exploit, well, then you know what you need to do to hack them, right? They haven't patched it, because otherwise they would be on version 5.4 or 5.5 or 6, whatever. I don't know FortiMail version, but you get the point. If there are 5.3.100 and there are CVEs, they're not patched. So you're free to go and abuse those exploits. Next, go online and download the admin guide of a FortiMail 5.3.100. Then you see which feature they have, so you know, well, I may not use that technique to try to get in because they have features to prevent this. But you can see which feature they don't have, right? And I'm not gonna go in detail. I didn't even look personally, but you can see which feature they don't have. And if they don't have a feature, then you know how to get in, right? There are plenty of ways you can do, like, does a FortiMail 5.3.100 have sandboxing? If not, then it's that easy. You just load Kali Linux, take a ransomware, recompile it, and set it off. If they don't have sandboxing, it's gonna go straight through. That easy, you're done, right? Hacked. Or maybe they don't have something called like click time protection or URL inspection, right? So many times you can send an email with a URL that at the moment you send, it is clean. The link leads to something benign. So the email inspection solution, FortiMail in that case, will look at it like, oh, okay, I went to that URL, it's clean, deliver the email. Then a hacker could wait 5-10 minutes and change the content of that URL for something bad. Well, if the email solution does not have click time protection, those type of features that will reevaluate the link periodically and prevent you from going there if it turns out to be malicious an hour later, then you know how you can exploit and send things through, right? And again, I haven't looked which feature they do and they don't have. You get the point, right? It took me 5 minutes to find out what email solution they have, what version they have, is there some security exploit, and to find out which feature that solution may or may not have, so that then I know how to exploit it. So email security is extremely important, and if you have MX record-based solution, it's dead easy to find out where's your email and what protects them. So something I like is SonicWall have something called Cloud Application Security. It's not MX record based, and it's for Office 365 or G Suite. It is API based. So there's no way to find out there is SonicWall in the way, because if you do MX lookup, you'll find out emails goes to Office 365. So hackers will be like, oh, okay, they have Office 365. Let's look at how I can exploit this. And most people have E3, which does not include Microsoft sandboxing. So let's recompile viruses and send it out. Well, they don't know. SonicWall is in the way, and SonicWall has a pretty darn good sandboxing technology with multiple sandbox engine. And I'll put a link in the description box down below, but it is a proprietary sandboxing technology from SonicWall that purely look at memory, like CPU memory and your RAM in your machine. So it is really efficient. So, all that to say that hackers won't be able to find out that SonicWall is in the way for your email delivery. So that really, really helps security, right? That 5-minute trick I did, not gonna work. Also, what I like is it protects against a lot of things that MX Record solution cannot do, right? It will look for anomalies like, oh, this guy have been sending a lot of email when it usually doesn't do that. Or this guy have been logging from those country where he never did it before. Or I have a good one here for a customer. They turn on 2FA and the solution found out like, hey, that person have been able to log in from the Bahamas, but he failed the 2FA, right? So that's really good information that an MX record-based solution cannot do. And it will also protect your OneDrive and SharePoint with all ransomware protection, which is something, again, that MX record solution cannot do. So email security is one that I really believe you should do. Again, always been the #1 vector of attack. And like I showed you, MX record solution first doesn't do much for Office 365 or G Suite. And it is so easy to find out what you run and how can I exploit it. Next, in your firewall, way too many times I see inbound NAT for things that shouldn't be there. Like, oh yeah, we opened remote desktop so we can work remotely. No, don't do that. Or, oh yeah, we have a camera system and we've opened 80 or 443 so we can see camera remotely. Like things like this. Those are the worst. So go in your firewall configuration, go into under NAT policy, and change the view for custom. That will show you all the NAT policy that have been created by someone. And you'll find out what are the inbound NAT you have. At best, you don't have any, right? And if you have some, like I mentioned, remote desktop or cameras, there are the ways to give access to this, right? Basic, like create a VPN to get in. I'll talk about work from home, but usually those things are for people working from home. So I'll touch on work from home solution in a minute. So trying to find a way so that you don't have any of inbound NAT to have stuff widely open to the world. That is bad. Find a way. Could be either do a VPN, just shut it off completely. Say, well, you know what, Mr. Owner, either you do a VPN to get the camera or you don't get the camera remotely, right? Another one could be also network segregation, right? I've done a video on it. I'll put the link in the description below. It is overly important in IT security to have network segregation. Let's go back to the cameras, right? The owner wants its cameras. He doesn't want to do a VPN, doesn't want to hear it. I'll touch on objection handling at the end. But let's say you don't have a choice. It has to stay open from the outside and that the world can see the entire camera. We all agree it's bad, but that's what you have to do. That's maybe not the best example I have, but anything that is accessible from the outside, I believe should be in a different zone in your network, a different network, a different interface, a different network subnet. So let's say that cameras do get hacked. It will happen. I have friends that do pen tests for a living, and it took him 5 minutes to get into the camera system. And he also built a agenda of who's coming in and out and what is their pin for disabling the alarm, because one camera was pointing the pin where people coming in and out and typing their code. So that was like mind-boggling for me when I saw this. I loved it. But let's say you need to open them from the outside, you know it's going to get hacked one day. Well, if you have one big network with everything inside, the hacker hacks your camera, which apparently is really a 5-minute thing. Then he's inside your network. There is nothing your firewall can do. He's in. There is one big flat network. He can talk to everything without even going through the firewalls because he's inside. So if you've separated things, you've created a network just for cameras, and the camera network has no access in, then the hacker hacks the camera. Well, it's a dead end. Congrats. You hopefully cannot see people typing their pad on the password, their password on the pad for the alarm, but that they cannot go anywhere else, right? So you've locked down that network, so they kind of have a dead end for this. And you can push this further internally, right? Let's talk about the aluminum plant, right? I assume that those aluminum plant, or whatever it is, Bridgestone, whoever, maybe whatever manufacturing company, they do manufacture goods. And I assume that they have some sort of automation, some sort of devices that monitor things that are network enabled, that they all talk together and they collect stat about how things go and, whatever it is. Well, that's the money-making network. It shouldn't be with the same network as people going on Netflix and doing whatever they want. It should be on an isolated network that no one or next to no one have access, or very, very tightly controlled access, like chirurgical access. You only need this on this port using this app at that time of the day from that machine that we previously authenticate as being extremely tight control. Because if HR click a resume they receive that happen to be a infected PDF, well, why would HR need access to the aluminum manufacturing plant with the automation, right? They have nothing to do with this. So if HR get infected and they are on their own network with only very few access to only the things they need, chances are that if HR get infected, the manufacturing plant will continue because HR has no access whatsoever to this. The same goes for a different thing. Just think about file access on your file server. Does HR have access to finance, and is engineering have access to finance file? And is it a mess that everyone have access to every single file? I'm sure no, right? Only finance can access the finance stuff, right? The R&D people don't have access to HR and find out what's the salary for everyone. We all know this. We all take this for granted. We are all good at managing file access in servers. Well, the exact same should apply to your network. So that's something else I would advise you consider. Next is the security services on your firewall. I will start with GeoIP. Some might just say, you know what, I'm going to block Russia and all Russian-friendly countries and call it a day. Well, no, not going to work. Well, it will have some impact. Could be good on the outbound traffic, right? If you see something on Facebook, you clicked it and it's not what you thought it was, it mislead you and trying to bring you to a Russian website. Well, if you had GeoIP blocking Russia for outbound traffic, it will do some good, right? It's not going to hurt. But if Russia wants trying to get in and you're just like, yeah, we'll keep remote desktop open, we'll keep the camera open to the outside to everyone in the world, but we'll block Russia, not gonna have much of an impact. I'm sure you've heard about Tor, which allows to be pretty much anywhere you want in the world, or use botnet, where you can have multiple machines anywhere in the world do some action for you. There are plenty of VPN services as well, where you could be in a different country. My girlfriend uses it to watch Netflix, a show on Netflix that is not available in Canada. She just connects VPN somewhere, another country, and she gets Netflix from Belgium, whatever it is, right? So Russian hackers can do this as well, right? So GeoIP doesn't hurt, but I wouldn't consider GeoIP like your ultimate weapon, your silver bullet. I've turned on GeoIP, sir, we're good to go, right? No. Turn on all the other services and look at them closely, right? All categories of content filtering. Is there some you feel like, yeah, I don't really need this at all, right? So you can block those. And there are categories in content filtering about malware or, newly registered domain, things like this. So that's stuff I would advise to block. Application control. There are tons of applications that are mainly VPN based. So you don't need those, right? That could be to exfiltrate data or something like this, so you can block those. So go through the categories of application, find out, dig into them, find out if there's things you don't want in there that you just don't need. The same goes for IPS antivirus, so make sure everything is turned on. And I've done videos on all those services, so I will put them in the description box down below for you. Another one I've done a video on is to control outbound traffic. So many will believe like all I need to do is protect inbound. Yes, that is important, right? That's important, right? Like block remote desktop, don't open remote desktop to the outside world. But outbound traffic is very important as well. You should control all the ports that are open outbound to make sure that there is not things that are out of your control that are happening and you don't know what they are. I believe you should also make sure that people going out on the internet are devices you authenticated, right? So I'm sure you've heard about printers being hacked and sending out information. So you should control ports that are open outbound, and you should only allow machine that you've authenticated to go out, right? Why would your printer start to broadcast and do tons of stuff on the web and things like this, right? There's no reason for your printer to get on the internet. So why would the printer have internet access? So things like this. Another one is work from home. We've talked about plenty of mechanism of things you should turn on to protect your organization. But when people work from home, what is the strategy? It's like, oh yeah, when you're in the office, very strong security. When you go home, never mind. Then come back in the office later, right? With all the bad stuff you managed. That doesn't work, right? Sometimes I compare this to COVID. If you have a family, and of course there's still COVID going around, and everyone in the family stay home, they'll be safe, right? COVID is not going to knock in the door and make its way in, right? If everyone stay home, you're safe. But what if you have 5 teenagers that every night they go all in 5 different rave with thousands of people and they party all night and then they come back? Do you think COVID will make its way through? Of course, it's just a matter of time. So the same goes in IT security. If all your devices are staying in the office behind your corporate firewall and all the cool security stuff you've created and implemented, but they go home behind no security whatsoever and come back and repeat the cycle every single day, it's just a matter of time before you get infected, right? So VPN, what I would advise is first to do a tunnel all VPN, or some call it a zero route VPN, meaning you force all traffic through the head office. That is good. Most business grade firewall can do this. So that prevents you from accessing your local network, which is home, with the teenager's PC that collects everything they feel like. But there is one part missing to VPN made usually with firewalls. That's something that is called always on VPN. That means that as soon as you're not in the office, your home, or at a hotel, airport, restaurant, as soon as you're not in the office, the VPN starts on its own. There is nothing you can do about it. You cannot disconnect, and all your traffic is forced through the head office. So that means physically you can be pretty much anywhere you want. Virtually, you're always in the office, protected by all the same great security mechanism, just like if you were in the office. So SonicWall has that. It's called the SonicWall SMA. I'll put a link in the description box down below for the always on VPN videos that I have done. Another one is make sure you have a good antivirus, right? I remember, I think I'll do eventually some IT stories with JP, like the different calls I have with customers. And one day I was talking to a customer and says, oh, we have XYZ antivirus. I don't even remember the name. It was a name I've never ever heard before. And I asked him, oh, never heard of it. Is it good? He's like, oh yeah, sure. Except once we got infected by a ransomware. And I couldn't resist. I just laugh out loud. I'm like, well, okay, so when nothing goes wrong, when you don't get infection, the AV is good. But once you get a virus, it didn't work. So that's like saying, oh yeah, my insurance company, they're great. I never had any claim. It all goes well, except once. I did a claim once in my life. They never wanted to pay. But yeah, it's a good insurance company. Like, no. So make sure you have something good. The reason why ransomware are so efficient lately for about a decade now, it's because they recode, recompile, re-encrypt, so the code always changes. So if you have the classic antivirus that are signature based, well, I'm sorry, but you don't have something really good. On the market, there are some that are called behavior-based antivirus. There are some that are really well-known, like CloudStrike, Silence, Carbon Black, Sentinel-1. That's probably the 4 I can think of. those are behavior-based antivirus. They don't care about the signature. Recompile your virus hundreds and thousands of times if you feel like it. Those type of AV, they don't care. They don't look at signature much. They look at behavior. So once you run the thing, what is the thing doing? And they just look and analyze those things. And I did one with the SonicWall capture client, which used Sentinel-1, one of the four I named. And on top, it has all the sandboxing technology from SonicWall. The one I also named RTDMI. I've done a video on capture client, and I actually put it to the test by giving in a old ransomware. I see it removes it right away. Then recompile a ransomware and inject an extra payload for a remote TCP shell, I believe. And then we see how it reacts. It's like, oh, I've never seen this thing before. So let's send it to SonicWall with all the sandboxing. So all the 62 AV engine from VirusTool, they all miserably failed. They've never seen it. They don't have a signature for it. And then SonicWall came back, say, hey, well, no, sorry. I think 2 of the 3 or 4 sandbox engine came back, say, hey, this is bad. So it got blocked. And I also disabled this and tried it to get the Sentinel-1 portion where it's behavior-based. And you see that, okay, when you started this file, it started this file, created those files, did this. You see the registry processes, registry key, file access, file being created, deleted, modify. So it's really behavior-based antivirus. So those are really good. And go with the SonicWall capture client. Shoot us an email, contact your SonicWall reseller. We do have trials if you want. For capture client, you get 10 licenses for 30 days. You can give it a try if you want. I really love it because it's using one of the top 5 behavior-based antivirus, and it top it off with all the SonicWall technology that shares its knowledge with all the products that SonicWall has, which is, Firewall, access point, Office 365, G Suite security, firewall that run in Azure and AWS. SonicWall has a lot of product and they all use it. So if a threat started in AWS and eventually make its way through your machine, well, SonicWall already know about it because we do have many customers running our firewall in AWS. So give it a try, right? So generally speaking, I would say make sure you have a good antivirus, those that are behavior-based antivirus. And finally, employee training. That is something important. That's something I'll need your help, guys. Put comments in the description box down below. I know there are companies that create materials for training for employees about how to find phishing, how to find different extortion, whatever maybe that people trying to leverage the weakness of the human being. And also that they have like phishing spam campaign, right? It's not a real phishing email. It really looks like it. It's just a test, and you have a report of which employee actually clicked the thing and entered a credit card number in that fake phishing email, right? So those are things that are very important. So that's pretty much the end of my list. I see the camera is at 40 minutes now, so it's going to be much more lengthy video than I expected. And many will ask me like, well, JP, you gave us a slew of things to do. Unfortunately, I cannot do them all today. Which one should I do first? Personally, I'm always a fan of ROI, return on investment. And for me, investment is not always money, right? Most of the time it's time, right? How much time will it take me to get a return? And I'm looking for the least amount of time, the biggest return, right? If I do something that takes me 10 minutes and it gives me an amazing security, I'll do this first, right? I have 10 minutes. But there are others like network segregation that I mentioned that will take you days because you need to change IP address on many servers and find out exactly what people do, where they go, what service they need, what port it use. And you need to make sure that you don't kill payroll because if you do that, you're dead. But that takes a lot of time. It brings a lot of value, but takes a lot of time, which is a lot of investment, right? Of course, it costs no money. You don't need to buy a new firewall to do network segregation, but you need to spend a lot of time learning your network if you don't know yet. So what I would do first, 2FA, that is something you should have done years ago. If it's not done, well, I don't want to sound like a dictator, but it's today, right? It's very important. Do this. The second one, email, like I mentioned, still the #1 threat of attack. So give it a try for cloud application security at SonicWall. if you are in Office 365 or G Suite and you just purely rely on them for security, or if you have an MX record based security, then I would consider trashing that MX record solution and go with the SonicWall Cloud Application Security. To be honest, I'll put a video in the description box down below, but 20 minutes, you're done, right? Start a trial. If you like it, it's going to be installed in 20 minutes and it's going to be monitoring everything. Give it a day to, scan everything and flag that, oh, you have a virus in your OneDrive, and you'll be like, yeah, it's a CD key reader. Every AV flag it as a virus. Just ignore it, right? So let it scan all the stuff. Then you may want to turn on protection. And if you like it, you just contact your reseller to get a license for the amount of users you have. I like it because, again, it brings a huge amount of security, considering email is still the #1 threat of attack, and it is dead easy to implement, and it does a lot of things that you probably were not even aware, right? What do you use for antivirus and on your OneDrive and your SharePoint, right? What do you use to protect against account takeover protection on your OneDrive or SharePoint or email, right? You probably have nothing. So it is really, really, really nice. Then employee training, right? It's something, again, put comments in the comment box below. Tell me which one you use, why you liked it, feature it as. I'll pin your comment to make sure it stays to the top. It's something that shouldn't take you a lot of time to just buy this and get things going, right? In half a day, you can read on it, learn a bit what they do a phone call, get a quote, and get things going, and then task employees to go through this. Not a lot of time, and can bring a lot of value in terms of security. Inbound NAT, that's something you should just turn off. And again, depending on what they are, but if it's just remote desktop open for a few people, the camera open from the outside, turn it off now, right? Tell people, well, sorry, there's a crisis coming in. You fear that something will go south with what's going on with Russia, so kill it, give them a VPN, move the camera on a different network, do something to make it better, and then tell them now how they can access those things. So at best, the best I believe would be to have no inbound NAT policy that allows everyone in the world to connect. You should not have any, hopefully, except of course if you have an email, the good old Exchange server internally, but those type of thing. You can always reach out to the resellers. You have some security expert, I'm sure you know many, that can help you if you have some stuff that must be open for absolutely everyone. Like patching is always a good thing, for instance. Another one I would advise that can be quick to do is a good work from home strategy, right? You can go with the SonicWall SMA, which is the thing I mentioned, does the always on VPN and tunnel all. It's a product you need to install and deploy a client to all workstation, but we do have resellers that are able to install them. They've done dozens, if not hundreds of them. And if you cannot find any, SonicWall has something called remote implementation service. So a SonicWall reseller that SonicWall choose will actually do it tailored for what you want, your needs. So you can get someone to do it, and I would say probably in a day or two max, it will be bought, implemented, and deployed. So that could be something that brings a lot of value for work from home in terms of security and be done very quickly. Then all the others, they are, I would rank them kind of equally, right? All the stuff I mentioned will require a fair amount of time, but the one I just mentioned, I believe, are some that can be done probably this week, right? So I would advise you start with those. And finally, objection handling. Before being at SonicWall, I've worked for other vendors, and I also worked as a IT consultant. And of course, I always face those business owners or the director that didn't take security seriously. Always funny, like, okay, you're in IT and you don't believe in security. Okay. So many times I saw things that were just, to me, completely unacceptable in terms of security. So I was, going to see either the owner or the IT director when I was a consultant explaining the issue. And many times they were like, yeah, okay, you're right. We need to do something. Some were just like, nah, it's fine. We'll deal with the risk. There is no problem there, right? We're just a small company in Quebec. No one cares about us, right? And of course, sometimes they get hacked, which is the fun part. That could be some IT stories I could do there as well. But what I would suggest, if you are a consultant, I don't know how things are for your business, but I'm sure that you guys are suffering from shortage of staff, right? It's something very common. And I see IT consultants sometimes choosing their customer. And they will say, well, I'm sorry, but here's the list of things that need to be implemented. And if you don't want to do it, I don't want my name tied to you, because you will be hacked one day, and I don't want to be the one flagged as being the one doing IT services and dealing with security in your organization. So as a consultant, if we don't implement those things, find someone else, right? I've seen this happening. As an employee, also, one day I did this earlier in my career. There were things that needed to be changed, and my boss didn't want to. So I said, well, okay, but it has to be done. And if it's not done and we get hacked, I'm not the one paying the price for it. I'm not the one that's going to stay here all evenings and weekends and trying to fix everything and trying to bring everything back because you didn't take this seriously. So, and if the owner comes in and asks, why did this happen? Why didn't we protect ourselves against this? I'm going to point at you. So often that really changed stuff. So what I did is I will send you an email of what I think needs to be changed, and I will put roughly time that it takes for us to do it and $, and what's the risk. And I would like you to reply back that we don't need to do anything. So I have it in writing that it is your fault. You made the call to ignore security that I did flag, and I'm not the one that's going to stay here all weekends. It worked very well. I sent that email. The guy was not very happy. But the next day he came back and JP, come to my office, bring the list of things you wanted, please print it. We'll come up with a plan in which one we should do first. And, again, that ROI things, how much it costs in terms of money and time, and what's the effect, which one we should do first. Because he's like, we cannot do all of them today. And I'm like, you're totally right. As long as we have a plan on where we should go, which one to do. So that's the sort of objectional handling that I would consider bringing if you do fight some opposition implementing those things. And especially about what's going on, right? Many are fearing a World War III. And I'm part of the one that believes that if there is a World War III, very soon, or hopefully in decades, or hopefully never, but if there is a World War III, it's going to be cyber. So sitting there and do nothing is not an option. I strongly suggest you consider the different things I've suggested and look in the description box down below for added videos about different content, and that you seriously consider bringing those security features on as soon as possible, like this week. So I hope you found that video useful and interesting and not too scary, but we all agree that what's going on right now does not smell good. So on that, thanks for watching and have a good day. Bye.